Technically, they even have still a lot of options in Castle Age, which is now quite undervalued.
That's right. So, no mirror matchup for the second game. This time around, MarineLorD will take what feels like the quickly becoming top-tier pick for Lipney. Wham, maybe living in the past, or maybe he's looking to the future here. He's fighting for his life here in round 1 in the open battlefields. Let's get into game number 2.
Okay, obviously, Wham, if he loses this game or the next one, he is out of Golden League round 1. And we will have 2 more rounds, followed by the grand group stage with the 8 best players in the world, concluding in the end of May. But for now, he has to think about this matchup here against MarineLorD. Needs to make something happen. We feel slight civilization advantage in his favor. We still feel that Abbasid should have a small advantage, but MarineLorD certainly in the driver's seat when it comes to deciding the strategy.
Damn, I love that. Was that grand group stage? What a name. I mean, we went for elite playoffs, but I think we might have to just, like, yoink that from you and use that for a future broadcast. That sounds even better. That sounds like I'm going for a fight with the Elite Four in Pokemon. Like, I like the sound of that. But yeah, we'll have to see, because one of the aforementioned Elite Four, at least assumed Elite Four, is here in the Redemption arc. In that lower bracket already, he is 1 game up, but like I highlighted before, Wham is no pushover, and this is actually one of the civs he's been practicing religiously, funnily enough. And I think a lot of people didn't realize it at first, because actually, Wham tended to play this civ on his Smurf, called Buster Scruggs. But it is, I believe, still his most played civ on that account, and he got pretty damn good at it. So we should expect something quite refined, right? Not kind of lost momentum, but the important detail to open up is this, what we're seeing on the screen right now, is how you combat the situation on the game, and I love what Wham does. Something that not many Abbasid players do, but you absolutely have to against a Rus opponent. He builds the secondary scout to deny more equity across the map by hunting onto these bounties.
That's those 2 wolves go. So MarineLorD at least gets 50 gold from that. Now the question is if maybe could have contested both the deer and the wolves. Obviously easy to say, wanted to go for the safe approach, got the full deer spot to himself.
Yeah, because the issue is if you choose to contest the wolves, you're chasing it along. It's harder to micro because the distance between attacking, and your opponent might just get it. You're kind of lucking it out to a certain degree. Whereas the deer, when you have 2 versus 1 scouts, MarineLorD can't contest it. And if you actually compare the equity there, it's 70 gold versus 50 in that situation. So it's actually more optimal to snipe the deer instead.
But I think with 2v1 scouts, he could have contested both, no?
It's
like
the chase, right? Because you have to stay on top of it, and if your opponent keeps dragging the wolves away, like, how do you kill the wolves?
Well, he was low HP, right? Just attack the scout, and then the scout has to run away, because he was constantly getting attacked by both of the wolves as well.
That's fair. Just kill him, well. Like, you got me there. I can't beat that. Admittedly, he chose the safer option, though. Understandably, like, we've seen how out of control it can get when you gamble up against the Rus, because it almost feels like come out ahead no matter what you try and do. But right now, MarineLorD's somewhat contained. We're 3.5 minutes in the game. It's about to be 250 bounty. I've seen some ridiculous numbers with Rus on Lipney, and this isn't one of them. So I feel like Wham has somewhat contained the issue. It's how he's going to contain it in the coming minutes, because we've already mentioned what could come out of this. It's the proxy boar. Maybe the good news for him is that the boars aren't optimally placed for it in this situation, but I still see a world in which MarineLorD plays towards the northern boar because it's basically on the way, right? It's a lot closer than poor little Pumbaa over here, who's just probably going to live through the whole game.
MarineLorD, quite some gold here with this 295 bounty. Got wheelbarrow and now is getting the professional scouts, so has to be happy with his opening there for sure. Or is that professional scout? No, that's survivor techniques makes way more sense.
He's going for the ball. Like, yeah, there it is, the pull straight away. This is the info you need. So there you go. You pull out 8 villages, because that's the optimal number, right? It's the maximum that can gather off a boar, and also wooden fortresses can contain 8. This is why the Rus are the best at doing it. Anyone else does this play, they need double outpost to protect, and that's a lot of idle time. Yes, you can say a wooden fortress costs more, but if you hover over it, the production time to build a wooden fortress isn't double that of an outpost. So you're losing less idle time building protection for your villages out here in no man's land.
Really important that we go into the point of view of MarineLorD if we see
Wham, can he do this?
The last hit.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get last hit. The scout can't be hit either. Wham. He was waiting for it, but it's so difficult, right? Between the scout attacks and then 8 villages as well. Good luck being the one to slay that boar.
Yeah, it has to be one random shot, one random timing. Maybe you could have pulled a second scout, but still, feels like quite a gamble. And MarineLorD, uncontested play there. Survival techniques with that. He's getting food so fast now. MarineLorD, like, what could he go up to? Like, he's at 225 per minute now. Can he fly to like 600 per minute?
So he should get around, I want to say, just kill me for these numbers. I'm a play-by-play, not a mathematician, more a mathematician. I'd say around 400 food. He's going to get, like, I think, because the maths works out, I think it's 5.1 minutes to clear a boar. A boar has 2k HP. So logically, he should be getting around 400 food per minute with 8 villagers on it. Damn, I'm surprised I remembered that. Can I get my maths degree now, please? I want to wear it as a paper hat while I cast.
Nice. But that's without hunting techniques, right? So it should be like
so it's even harder. So he should drain that by like 4 minutes. No, 4.2, 4.3, because you get 15% increase in gathering speed. And that's before we then also equate his bounty system, which is giving an extra 10. This is too much maths, Nili.
Okay.
Like the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? I don't know what they mean. I just came to watch some high-level players. MarineLorD knows what they mean. He's big brain about this, and you can see it on the food right now. Over the 5-10 mark, and look at the comparative. Wham, nowhere near comparable.
And he has a massive food bonus as well, right? With those faster berries. So now the first archers are coming over. Don't want to see those villagers getting too efficient. Still not on stone. Only one villager on berries. That is weird. Wham stays on sheep for quite a surprising long amount of time.
I've seen this from a few players. Actually, I called it the Aussie strategy because I felt like all the Aussie boys were doing it. Like I've seen Dinky, I've seen Snooper, Hart. Like a lot of them were always prioritizing sheep first. Everyone else seemed to be going berries, but Wham's decided to, I don't know, join the alliance, like invite the Canadians in. Because usually you want to be going for those berries. For a start, you gather quicker, but then also it's the fact that it's the less safe resource, right? You should be keeping the sheep as a safe fallback in case you get raided early on. So it's kind of weird to see players frequently doing this. There is an argument over the idle time to run to the berry line, and then also as you get rid of the initial berries, it's further off to drop off, right? But I think that's negated by the fact you also carry additional berries, right? Like ever since the patch change, the Abbasids and the Delhi, by default, carry more berries than other civs, as well as gathering them quicker. So it's definitely worth going there straight away.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Maybe we need to interview one of the Aussies or Wham and ask them what's the thought process behind it. I've seen some build orders where they go for sheep and dark age, but then as soon as they are feudal age, and especially like now you know that you will have a lot of map control, berries just feel so much more reasonable.
Yeah, I understand it for like the efficiency over not needing the wood invested there, and you can get it on the lumber camp instead so you don't go straggler tree, but we're 7 minutes into a game, and he's still not on the berries, right? So like that, I think like the argument is the straggler tree like passes past the 4 minute mark. Like that's when you're like, okay, I should have enough wood to do this. But I love this out of Wham. This is smart. Some of the Abbasids can do, and he understood his opponent's going to be out here. He can build siege in the field straight away. Doesn't need to get a blacksmith. Doesn't have to get siege engineering. That's a heavy amount of savings, enough to actually buy your first ram.
Archer range now to counter this one. Military count 6 to 15. First ram now moves in again. Villagers going into the tower. A bit left alone. Ram will lose some HP.
How long has that boar got left? Because I feel like this is not quick enough. Yeah, just ask MarineLorD to move his villagers, please. It's okay. They'll be forced to garrison, but they have to be like close to halfway through, right? Yeah, look at that. 560. Because of the survival techniques. In conjunction with the gathering from the bounty system. Like, this is paid off. So by the time you get for a 2k HP wooden fortress, it's going to be done. The value's found. He doesn't care about the hunting cabin because it's not a double value one. He hasn't put it next to a wood line. So instead, Wham's wasted so much time. His only choice now is to go towards MarineLorD's main base, which is going to be putting him between a rock and a hard place here.
And rams are so slow. Just takes him quite some time, and that is a short distance, but still, look at that. 3 archer ranges working. Archer range, or archer count, 14 for Wham. Small advantage over the 10 of MarineLorD, but obviously defender's advantage. I think MarineLorD should hold this.
Yeah, MarineLorD's got enough to hold, because the issue you have is you've got a finite number of spears, and also the discombobulation factor. Like, whenever you start to go into an opponent's base like this, if they have a cavalry line like this, it gets scary, because if you commit your forces, all the opponent has to do is run around the side and cut off your reinforcements, right? You just kill the stragglers. Even spearmen get taken down by a few knights when they're alone. So now, Wham has to surrender over, pull back, sacrifice the ram, poor little Wham and his ram. That's going to be minus 300 wood. And now he has to go for the fallback plan of a secondary TC. The issue, however, is he drew MarineLorD into this. So now MarineLorD has a sizable standing army, and he will look to pressure.
Who else had the song in their head? Wham, ram, ding, ding, dong. 4th archer range now by MarineLorD. He is playing the full Feudal Age in. He thinks, okay, now I have a nice defense. If you think you can go greedy and get a timing there with the second town center, I will punish you for it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Wham, he went for the Wham Ram, and MarineLorD is the Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am situation now, as he just wants to make this quick. 10 minutes in, hitting his timings very quickly, spots up the secondary TC, and this is where Wham is in a fragile state. He knew it was going to be revealed as well. There was no way to hide it. The good news, at least, is with this extension onto his base, he has solidified control over that secondary wood line I was concerned about. It does mean that if this drags out, he should be able to slowly scale up into Castle Age and have surplus wood available to get the siege out. That's his answer now. Wham's win condition lies in Castle Age. MarineLorD's is the next 5 minutes in Feudal.
Yeah, even longer. I think this game might actually end in Feudal Age. MarineLorD does not want to play Feudal Age. He does not want to give Wham the time to play the double TC. By the way, we're going for the second boar now. And this feels likely that MarineLorD wants to all in this.
Not more animal abuse. I thought this one would survive. Boars are becoming an endangered species here in the land of Age of Empires 4, especially on Lipany. And it means that MarineLorD is going to keep himself boosted for a long time. He's trying to offset it. This is something I've noticed. It's a regular pattern that's occurred now in the meta. Players delay transitions to farms as hard as possible. Wood has become the budgeted resource entirely in Age of Empires 4. And farms stretch you heavily because of that. 75 wood per to get them down. Yes, they're unlimited food generation, but you need space. They're pricey on the wood, and they're very squishy. And it means most players will do everything and anything they can to offset moving into that transition.
Each engineers now coming in for MarineLorD, and yeah, that's simply the beauty, right? Now with only one berry patch, and we need to go for that. Second one at the left-hand side will be tricky. So maybe Wham needs to go into farming pretty soon. Has a reasonable amount of food, gold income, 300 per minute, but I think MarineLorD will soon hit not the biggest amount of wood right now to go for lots of rams to find that aggression though.
No, it's right now, he's just trying to confine him. But I love what Wham has done on the east side. He's already walled this up. I think he's seen the strategy. He understands that MarineLorD's two choices is either you ram in or you build these wooden fortresses. But because the layout of the base, wooden fortresses don't make sense. So all MarineLorD's going to do is he's going to Zerg rams. And he has a sizable arch continue to protect him. And this is the power of the roost. Like, this is all feeds into it, right? It's the fact that the boars are beneficial, the gathering rates as well. And we've talked about this before in the previous days. If there's one thing that the roost can beat almost any civ in producing, it is archers. Because they mainly cost wood, and this civilization gets 20% additional drop-off via the wooden fortress. So they're able to field more archery ranges and produce out of them quicker than their opponents. And then the catalyst of this is they're able to afford these rams, because rams, what do they cost? Look at them. You can tell they're built of wood.
Another big problem for Wham is also lost archer range, lost houses. He needs to get more of that out, and he needs to invest more into wood. And we already said that that might be the scarce resource for Wham as well. Maybe going to the first engagement, I think enough spearmen, and obviously the double TC setup here for the defense.
They're just pepper picking each other right now, but you can see how he's hesitant. The spears, they reveal. If all of them go down, the knight's going to plow them through, and that's the difference maker. They could just annihilate this army or shift across to the villager lines. This is the fragile state. Wham is playing between the blacksmith and the TC because he needs this choke point. If it gets spread out, the knights are going to roam around, and it looks like they might just roam straight through, and instead the villagers reveal themselves. Barely any spearmen left. Big problem here. Rams are going to peel back for the moment, but Wham needs to be careful. He needs to make sure he's got a critical mass of spears here, otherwise he will be overwhelmed.
Right now production, still lots of archers, some knights being mixed in there. Woodline relatively exposed, and this is so tricky to defend. Maybe defensive tower, but I don't think you have the numbers.
I mean, he's got the numbers if he adds in the villages, but that's detrimental to what you're trying to achieve here, son. There's not enough garrison room for everyone. Oh, and the spears, they didn't brace. They missed their opportunity again. MarineLorD, it looked like he missed microed, but Wham wasn't paying attention. Gave a little bit too much respect, and now he's forced to come out. Trying to burn them down, torch them as quickly as possible. Damage being done as he chases them away. He's going to lose a lot of villagers here. He's getting through one of the rams, but the second one is half health, and so many villagers dead. If we look at the eco side, they're now even after all this, 47 apiece. And this is getting dire.
Wham is advancing to the castle age, so if he holds, he might find a timing where he could go for some upgrades, could maybe go for men-at-arms, but it just feels MarineLorD should send some villagers forward, maybe get some repair on those rams, and then charge in for another attack. I don't think Wham can hold that second town center before he gets to the proper unit transition.
Yeah, everything in his base is just getting turned into hedgehogs with this many archers in the fight. I mean, he's at least buffering his opponent away. This tech up's going to come through. The critical detail that matters is Wham's gold, though. He only has enough for one Mangonel. It's one Mangonel and a dream, and it could be the best dream ever. But MarineLorD, we have to look in on what he's doing. He's probably prepping to set this into a nightmare. I wouldn't be surprised if we see horsemen or possibly more knights coming out, understanding that once that tech up completes, MarineLorD has two choices available. You either up aggression with more cavalry units, or you fall back for your own castle age timing.
You know that you starved your opponent of a lot of food. Still go for the aggression there on the woodline. I don't mind a feudal age shot. I'm not really sure if MarineLorD feels the same. Town center is indeed going to go down. Now we need to rush out a Mangonel, and as you said, we only have resources for one, and the archers are pushing it.
He doesn't. His wood's the problem right now. He got baited at the wrong time. He didn't manage his wood appropriately. He's only got 150 to his name. And now they're going to chase through MarineLorD. He smells the weakness. He knows he can go. His opponent has invested 1,800 resources into nothing. And it means that he is stronger. As MarineLorD will force him around in circles, you see there's nowhere for Wham to run. Now moving across to the woodline at the front of the base, where reinforcements from the Rus army will be able to engage. MarineLorD is at least delayed because he has to run around the side of the TC, but he will arrive soon. And the issue here is this is delaying Wham's critical timing of the siege, which are meant to be saving him.
And now send some more villagers again. Okay, they will do some damage against the rams. They will find the kills there quite nicely. Archer's a bit out of position. One ram down. Now trying to get up the market, but that obviously costs another 100 wood. Now finally bought himself up. A Mangonel should pop, but those were a lot of losses for Wham.
And MarineLorD is just flaunting his economy right now. He's floating over 1,000 surplus wood. If this ram ever goes down, he can instantly rebuild free. And no, they're building the Mangonel now. Splinter formation as he staggers and moves towards the Mangonel to minimize the damage it can do. The knights are not being addressed because there's only archers here. The ships are out, repairs to try and keep it up, but more villagers are going down. And what was meant to be a saving grace may be too little too late. Although they cannot kill the Mangonel, they can kill everything that protects it. This Mangonel is king of the Abbasid Empire, and right now he is ordering all of his people to die so that he can live.
Look at that force around. The Mangonel doesn't even know where to shoot. Minimum distance there as well, and Mangonels can't really get the kills. No more repair after this one as well, and MarineLorD just goes for full aggression. So many losses. Now massive villager lead for our Rus player.
Yeah, this is how you define long-sighted in gaming terms right there. Just like, I've got this Mangonel. Can you get them off me, though? I kind of, like, it's an explosive tool. It doesn't really work at this range. And although MarineLorD's army is cleaned up, damage done, right? His opponent has teched up ahead of him, yes. But he lost the secondary TC. He's lost countless villages. Repopulating his base is going to take a long time. Right now, it just feels like it's a Mangonel and a villager force, and that is all you have. Oh my
God.
God.
Some kills in. Look at population now, 45 to 62.
Look at the base.
Floating a lot of resources.
Look at the size of Wham's base. He just lost half of it. Like, MarineLorD was just the Berlin Wall in this situation. He's like, you can't have this half, and he burned it to the ground. And he even put down a wooden fortress here after he left. He's like, just a little mwah, just a little love left in your base from me, in case you think about reconnecting this for your golden age, because his golden age has been deactivated.
Ooh, yeah, lost so many buildings, as you mentioned. And now MarineLorD goes for lots of knights. As we can see, Wham now onto stone of all his income. Not too pretty, though, if we look at the food. Barely existent there. And berry-wise, one to the front and one to the left. Now taken, so he finally gets some income. But still will be tricky.
Yeah, it's a rough situation. I mean, Wham, he's at least on the berries hardcore now. That's all he's got left to go for him. Double Mangonel, but the issue is MarineLorD caught up. He decimated your base, he got his own tech up, and now he's going to move out looking for relic control because he did go for the Abbey Trinity. This is what we talked about MarineLorD. He can end the game now, or he understands when he's got a big enough lead that he can just let things drag out. And that's what he's now doing. He'll fall back, he'll play it safe, understanding that Wham, because he used so much of his initial resources near his base to defend his base, he's going to have to uncomfortably move out. And it means that MarineLorD can have these opportunities to pick his opponent apart in the midfield where he's not as defendable.
He's kind of doing both at the same time. Still plays 5 stables, still goes for lots of knights, but also sets himself up for the long game. Beautiful play there, will get all the relics. Not unlikely that in the end he might even get up to 5. Also put on some pressure there indirectly, simply because he gets the sacred sites.
Oh man, and these knights, like, they're going to be problematic, right? Like, if you were struggling with early knights, these are now Castle Age, and you got to consider things like Boy's Fortitude, then there's also the Knight Sabers when we go up in the Imperial. Like, scalability-wise, the Rus are better here. They actually counter out a lot of what makes the Abbasids good in the late game as well. Like, this creeping siege factor means that the Abbasids, their win condition is now, that their critical power spike is in Castle Age. And Wham isn't well presented to take advantage of that anymore. He's been pressured so hard, it's almost like MarineLorD came into this game with this full intention, understanding that actually, it doesn't matter if he wins the game at 20 or 30 minutes. It matters if he wins it, in theory, at 10. And that is won by shutting down any scalability that is accessible to Wham, which is what he's achieved in doing. Now, this TC is going to draw some attention, as MarineLorD should scout it out soon, and I expect that's where the aggression is going to come again, because, as I said, as long as he chokes out control in Castle Age, he doesn't care if this game goes an hour long.
Also, we feel like Rus so much better there, and so many long-term scenarios going right for MarineLorD as well. Not even sure if we get that long, because those 2 Mangalots are so crucial for the defense.
There's no defense at all. There's no one here to help them. It's almost
military for Wham! 1 military for Wham! 1 crossbow!
I just, like, where are the rest? He's got 16 million. Like, oh no, he has got the one. I'm looking at the wrong side. But, like, seriously, I'm just figuring the situation. Like, the Mangonels there. If you don't have a wall, something to protect them, what is the purpose? You need spears, you need anything. But you know what? I'm going to shock you right now. Have a look around at Wham's base. See if you can find a Rax. He sees all these knights coming. He sees it's Castle Age, and he has no racks to protect himself. No way of buffing back in this game. And it means Wham is going to be knocked out of round 1. MarineLorD will continue through in the redemption bracket.
Would have been a big loss if we lose our arguably top 2 player in the world, MarineLorD. Strong performance here, and like the last showing against those 2, it felt like MarineLorD was in full control at all times. And this one with a nice opening there, going for the boar, and Wham with an early ram, but couldn't break MarineLorD's defense. 4 archer ranges here in Feudal Age, full aggression.
Yeah, and honestly, like Wham, we talked about this, maybe choosing the worst of the 2 civs in game number 2, but I actually understand his game strategy, like, wider in the series. So, yeah, what? Okay, yeah, the guy just got bullied 2-0. Let's spit in his face, right? Let's rub salt in the wound. Here's your negative score. That's a bit mean, but looking away from that, because that was mean. No, stop highlighting.
Let's look at the timeline, please. And
yeah,
let's compare
can we stop bullying less?
Drop.
Yeah,
let's compare the military drop there.
Because that looks just as bad, right? I mean, look at the sink in there. Right there, MarineLorD's like, I'm going to build a mountain. And Wham's like, look, mummy, I climbed the hill. Right? It's just so differing the way these 2 players play this game. And it comes down to the civilization choice. It's optimal the way that MarineLorD played this. And to go back to like what I was trying to highlight about the overarching strategy, Wham was thinking about this civ choice as a series-wide strategy instead of a game strategy. A lot of players would have accepted they were going to be up against Rus, and they were going to pick Rus as well. Wham understood that, like, if he wants to give himself the best chance, he just had a mirror matchup, it went really badly. Does he want to do that again? Or would it be better to try and throw your own curveball maybe in game number 2, and then game 3, if your opponent has chosen Rus in game 2, you're going to have the best civ available in the second Lipany, and all of a sudden, you can potentially turn this around. Like, I think this was the way he was thinking about this game. He wasn't thinking about how do I win game 2, he was thinking about how do I win the series. Doesn't work out, but I respect him for trying it. It is unfortunate the way this series opened up with that Mongol mirror matchup, but that is the curse of the land right now, right? That's the beauty and the downside of these rando generations. Sometimes you do get a little bit screwed one way or the other, but it makes things interesting. It means that we can play the same map 200 times, 300 times and get differing outcomes. It doesn't work to Wham's advantage this time, but I still see promise. I still see a player on the rise, and I know he's going to deliver more in the coming weeks, because remember, although he's out of round 1, there are plenty of weeks to come, as there are 3 rounds leading into an elite playoff here in the Golden League, so you will see more of Wham in the future.
Yeah, Wham going in there as seed 11. I collected ideas to make a list for top 15 players in the world for AoE 4 right now, and ask a lot of players. And Wham actually made rank 11 there as well. So maybe after this performance, might have climbed some on the ladder there. If he makes it to the top 8 in the overall grand bracket, grand group stage there, would be really nice for him.